Commander Alex Raines had traveled across countless star systems, faced hostile alien species, and survived disasters that would have ended the lives of lesser men. He had always prided himself on his calm, rational mind, his courage, and his ability to make decisions when danger struck. But as his shuttle descended onto Vayara 7, a planet bathed in strange emerald light and shimmering with floating spores, he felt something unfamiliar, a shiver that was not fear, but an uneasy anticipation. The native guides, creatures of grace and subtle power, awaited him at the landing site. They were unlike anything he had ever seen. Tall, lithe, with shimmering silver skin that caught the sunlight and eyes that reflected not only the world, but thoughts as well. Their presence was commanding yet oddly gentle. One of them, a female named Kalira, stepped forward, her voice like wind through crystal. "Commander Raines, I must warn you," she said, her multiple eyes narrowing with concern. "Do not remain here during the mating season. It is dangerous. Humans, they do not understand what will happen." Alex gave a half-smile, brushing off her warning with the confidence that had carried him through so many battles. "I've survived Zalvian predators, asteroid storms, and plasma storms. I think I can handle a mating season," he said, trying to sound lighthearted, though a small part of him wondered what he was truly walking into. Kalira's eyes softened, but there was a subtle edge of frustration. "You misunderstand. This is not like any danger you have faced. The Vayaran's mating rituals, they are not only physical. They touch the mind, the senses, the heart. You could be overwhelmed before you even realize it." Alex nodded politely, but inside he ignored the warning. Humans were curious by nature. He had learned that surviving in the galaxy required more than strength or weapons. It required understanding. But understanding, he thought, also meant experiencing. If the Vayaran's mating season was as dangerous as they claimed, then perhaps he could learn from it. As he walked into the dense, glowing forest, he felt the atmosphere change. The air was thicker than normal, almost electric. Colors seemed sharper, sounds more vivid, and scents carried a sweetness that made his head spin. Every step he took felt like entering a world alive with energy, and though his rational mind reminded him to remain cautious, he could not ignore the sense that something was different here. Something was waiting. Hours passed, and Alex surveyed the terrain, mapping and collecting samples with meticulous care. Yet in the back of his mind he felt watched. Sometimes it was a fleeting shadow moving among the glowing trees, sometimes a shimmer in the corner of his vision. He tried to dismiss it as his imagination. Yet the feeling persisted, subtle but insistent, like a heartbeat echoing through the forest. As night fell, the twin moons of Vayara 7 bathed the forest in silvery light. The spores floating in the air glowed faintly, casting dancing patterns on Alex's suit. That's when he first heard it, a soft rustle, a whisper of movement so light it could have been wind. And then he saw her. Lyria. She emerged from the trees like a living shadow, her silver skin glowing under the moons, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and something deeper, something primal. She was beautiful, terrifying, and intoxicating all at once. And for the first time in his life, Alex felt the gravity of the warning he had ignored. She stopped a few meters away, her gaze fixed on him. "You should not be here," she said softly, yet there was an intensity in her voice that made Alex's pulse quicken. "This is the mating season. You are human. You do not understand." Alex swallowed hard, feeling an unfamiliar mix of fear and fascination. "Maybe," he admitted, his voice steadier than he felt. "But I am here anyway." Her lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile, and for reasons he could not explain, Alex felt both dread and something else, a pull he could not resist. The forest seemed to hold its breath, and somewhere deep in him, he realized that the adventure he had sought was no longer about exploration. It was about survival, desire, and the fragile human spirit standing against forces beyond comprehension. And just like that, Alex knew his life on Vayara 7 was about to change forever. The next morning, Vayara 7 greeted Alex with a light that seemed almost alive. The forest shimmered in shades of green and gold, and the air vibrated faintly with energy. He moved cautiously, aware that every step might draw attention. But it wasn't the alien fauna or the glowing plants that made him tense. It was her. Lyria. He first saw her near a sparkling river, moving with a fluid grace that seemed impossible. Every motion was precise, elegant, and yet instinctual. like a predator who knew every beat of the forest. Her silver skin caught the sunlight, reflecting it in tiny, dazzling patterns that made Alex blink. Her eyes, starlit and deep, watched him with a curiosity that sent a strange warmth through his chest. She didn't speak at first. She simply observed, and Alex felt exposed under her gaze. It wasn't fear that gripped him, it was fascination and something more primal. His human instinct screamed caution, but his mind urged him to study her, to understand. After all, this was exploration, wasn't it? Meeting a species so different from humanity was what he had trained for. "Why do you watch me?" he finally asked, his voice steady but low. Lyria tilted her head, her long hair like tendrils shimmering. "You should not be here," she said softly, her voice carrying a musical quality that seemed to echo in his mind. "Humans do not understand the dangers of this season. We are not like you." Alex swallowed, feeling the weight of her words. "Maybe," he admitted, "but I am here. I came willingly. If I am in danger, I accept it." Her eyes narrowed slightly as if measuring him, weighing something invisible. Then almost imperceptibly her stance softened. "Most humans would have fled," she said, her voice quieter now. "Or screamed in terror. You do not." The comment made Alex's heart beat faster. There was admiration in her words, but also something else, something dangerous, compelling. He realized then that the warnings were not exaggeration. The mating season had effects far beyond instinct. It could touch the mind, the emotions, and even the will of those unprepared. As they spoke, Lyria moved closer, her presence filling his senses. He felt a wave of heat, a pull he couldn't explain. It was subtle at first, a tug at his thoughts, but growing stronger with each heartbeat. He forced himself to focus, to remind himself that he was human, and humans had control over their choices. Yet the pull was intoxicating, and he struggled to resist being swept away. "I warned you," she said again, her voice now almost a whisper. "And yet you remain. There is no turning back now." Alex met her gaze, unwavering. "I am not just here because I am forced," he said firmly. "I am here because I chose to be." For a moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Lyria's eyes widened slightly. No human had ever resisted her influence this way. Her people, her instincts, they told her he should be easy prey, someone to bend to the season's demands. But here he stood, stubborn and resolute, human through and through. Something shifted in her expression, an emotion she had never recognized before. Respect. Curiosity deepened, blending with the primal instincts that marked her species. She took a slow step back, breaking the invisible tether that seemed to link their thoughts. Alex exhaled, feeling both relief and a strange longing. He knew this encounter was only the beginning. The forest around them hummed with life, alive with unseen energy and the promise of danger. Yet somehow, amid all the alien beauty and threat, a connection had begun, a spark that was neither forced nor instinctual, but chosen. For Alex, it was a reminder that humanity was not just fragile flesh and bone. It was resilience, courage, and the ability to stand firm even when the universe tried to bend you. And for the first time on Vayara 7, he realized that surviving this world might require more than skill. It might require his humanity. And deep inside, he knew he would not turn away from Lyria, no matter what came next. Days passed on Vayara 7, and Commander Alex Rains began to realize that the warnings about the mating season were not exaggerations. The forest itself seemed alive, almost sentient, humming with an energy that made his skin tingle. Every sound, every movement felt heightened. And at the center of it all was Lyria. She appeared everywhere he went. Sometimes it was subtle, a shimmer among the glowing trees, a shadow flickering across the river. Other times she was closer, moving silently behind him, watching him with those starlit eyes that seemed to pierce through his mind. It was disorienting, and Alex began to feel a strange tension in his chest. A mixture of fear, fascination, and something he did not fully understand. One evening, as the twin moons cast silver light across the forest floor, Alex sat near a glowing waterfall, cataloging samples in his datapad. He thought he was alone. Then he felt it, a presence so close it made the air vibrate. He looked up, and there she was, Lyria, her silver skin reflecting the moonlight, her eyes fixed on him. "You should not be here alone," she said softly, her voice like music and lightning at the same time. "The season, it changes everything." Alex swallowed hard. "I am here by choice," he said. "I am not afraid." Her gaze intensified, and he felt it then. The pressure, subtle at first, then building like a tide inside his mind. It was not just physical. It was emotional, mental. Her presence demanded attention, pulled at his thoughts, stirred desires he didn't know he had. He had faced alien predators before, but nothing had ever felt like this. An invisible force pressing at his very being. Lyria stepped closer, her movement fluid and mesmerizing. Alex's instincts screamed caution, but his human stubbornness held him firm. He refused to let himself be overwhelmed. He refused to become just another part of some alien ritual. "I will not be forced," he said quietly, though his heartbeat thumped in his ears. For a moment she paused as if surprised by his defiance. Her species had never encountered humans like this. Creatures who could resist instincts, who could choose their path even under overwhelming influence. It was a concept that fascinated her as much as it frustrated her. The night deepened and Alex felt a storm inside himself. He was drawn to her, yes, but also aware of the danger. The Varen mating season was not merely physical. It was invasive, a force that could twist the mind and spirit. He could feel it trying, pressing, testing him. Yet his humanity, his stubbornness, courage, and sense of self was a shield he had never relied on more. "I warned you," Lyria whispered, so close now that he could feel the warmth of her presence. "And yet you remain. You are human." And yet unyielding. Alex met her gaze steadily. "I am human," he said. "And that means I make my own choices. No instinct, no ritual, nothing will change that." Her expression shifted again, a complex mix of admiration and confusion. No one in her life had ever stood against the pull of the season. No one had ever maintained control, even under the most intense pressure. And here was a human, fragile in appearance yet unwavering in will. For the first time, Lyria hesitated. Her instincts screamed to draw him in, to claim him as part of the ritual, but her mind, shaped by his courage, made her pause. Something was happening between them that neither instinct nor tradition could fully explain. Alex exhaled, feeling both relief and exhaustion. The pressure of her presence did not diminish entirely, but he had survived it, resisted it, and learned something important. Humanity was not fragile. It was resilient. It could face overwhelming forces, stand firm, and even influence the world around it in ways that no other species could. That night, as he rested beneath the glowing canopy, Alex realized that surviving Vayara 7 would require more than skill. It would require him to trust in himself, to stand firm against alien instincts, and to embrace the strange connection forming between him and Lyria. And somewhere deep in the forest, Lyria watched, her starlit eyes reflecting something new, curiosity, respect, and a hint of desire she could not yet name. The days on Vayara 7 blurred together, each one a mix of beauty, danger, and the impossible tension between Alex and Lyria. The forest pulsed with life, and the mating season's energy hung in the air like electricity. Every step Alex took, every movement he made was felt by Lyria long before she appeared. Her presence was constant, pressing against his senses in a way that was both overwhelming and strangely intimate. Yet, Alex remained himself. He had survived countless threats before, but this was different. This was not brute force or weapons. This was instinct, raw and potent, trying to bend him in ways he had never imagined. And still, he held firm. Where other species might have crumbled, he remained resolute. His humanity, his ability to reason, to choose, to feel empathy without losing himself, was his shield. One evening, as the twin moons bathed the forest in silvery light, Lyria approached him by the riverbank. The water glowed faintly, reflecting her luminous skin. Her gaze was intense, almost predatory, yet there was hesitation there too. "You are different," she said softly, her voice carrying a mixture of curiosity and awe. "Humans are fragile. You should have succumbed by now." Alex met her eyes steadily. "I'm not fragile," he said. "I feel fear. I feel desire. But I also choose how to act. I decide my own path." Lyria studied him, her expression unreadable. No Vayaran had ever resisted instinct so completely. Her species was guided by raw emotion, a force that rarely allowed room for choice. And here was a human, small, unarmed, and yet unyielding. It was a concept that challenged everything she knew. Slowly, she stepped closer, her movements graceful and mesmerizing. Alex felt the pull again, stronger than before, as if her very presence was reaching into his mind. Most beings would have surrendered to it, yet he did not. Instead, he allowed himself to feel fully and openly without losing control. His humanity was his strength, a paradox that fascinated her. "You are not like the others," Lyria whispered. "You do not bend, you are free in a way I cannot comprehend." Alex exhaled, realizing the truth in her words. He had always believed that survival meant strength, speed, or cunning. But here strength was something else. It was courage. It was the ability to stand firm when every instinct screamed otherwise. It was humanity itself, shining in the face of overwhelming pressure. For a long moment they simply stood by the glowing river, the forest silent around them except for the hum of life. Alex reached out cautiously and placed a hand near the water, feeling the pulse of the planet. Lyria mirrored him, her hand close to his yet not touching. There was no compulsion, no ritual, only mutual curiosity and respect. "You teach me something I did not know," Lyria said quietly, "that even instinct can be met with choice, that even the strongest pull can be resisted." Alex allowed a small smile, feeling a warmth he had not expected. "Humans survive not because we are the strongest. We survive because we choose, because we care, and because we refuse to give up. That is our power." The Varen's eyes softened, her primal instincts warring with the new understanding forming within her. For the first time, Alex saw hesitation, and even a hint of admiration. Her species had never experienced someone who could match their force not with equal instinct, but with unwavering humanity. That night, as the moons rose high and bathed the forest in silver, Alex returned to his camp with a renewed sense of purpose. He was not just surviving Vayara 7. He was teaching, in his own quiet way, the power of human resilience. And somewhere deep in the glowing jungle, Lyria watched. Her thoughts tangled between instinct and something far more complex. A curiosity, a respect, and perhaps the beginnings of something deeper. Alex understood one thing clearly. The greatest force on this planet was not the Vayaran mating season, nor the alien instincts, nor even the dangerous flora and fauna. It was humanity itself, and he was determined to prove it. The days on Vayara 7 grew longer, filled with both danger and unexpected intimacy. Alex found himself walking through glowing forests, beside rivers that shimmered under twin moons, constantly aware of Lyria's presence. She followed him silently, appearing at the edges of his vision or stepping out of the shadows without warning. Her gaze was unwavering, and each time their eyes met, a current ran through him that was both thrilling and terrifying. It was during one of these quiet excursions that their connection began to deepen beyond instinct and survival. Alex had discovered a grove where rare luminescent flowers grew in thick clusters. He knelt to record the samples, and without thinking, Lyria moved closer. She crouched beside him, her eyes scanning the delicate petals as if seeing them for the first time through his human perspective. "You notice things differently," she said softly, almost shyly. "Your kind observes yet does not consume. You do not only see what is useful, you see what is beautiful." Alex looked up and smiled faintly. "Humans survive in many ways, but we also appreciate life, not just for survival, but for connection. Even in danger there is beauty. Even here, on your planet." Lyria's eyes shimmered, reflecting both moonlight and something deeper. She had never met a creature who could resist her influence, yet also show such understanding. Most beings in her world were swept along by instinct, unable to pause, to feel, to choose. Alex was different. He was human, and his humanity was irresistible in its uniqueness. As the days passed, their interactions became more personal. They shared moments of laughter when Alex tripped over roots, and quiet companionship when they watched the moons rise together. She taught him about her species, their rituals, and their instincts during mating season. He listened intently, asking questions and respecting boundaries, showing patience and empathy that Lyria had never experienced. One evening, a storm swept through the forest. Thunder rolled through the glowing trees, and torrents of rain turned rivers into silver torrents. Alex struggled to protect his equipment, but Lyria appeared suddenly, moving through the storm with fluid grace. She shielded him with her body, deflecting the rain and guiding him to safety. You put yourself in danger for knowledge, she said once they reached shelter. I admire that. Alex shook off the rain, his chest heaving. Humans are curious. We take risks because we want to understand the universe, not just survive in it. And sometimes, we take risks for people we care about. Her gaze softened, and for the first time she hesitated in the way she moved toward him. The Vey. Yaren instincts tugged at her, urging dominance, control, claiming him as part of the mating ritual. But she found herself holding back. Alex's humanity, his choice, his courage, his respect, was teaching her something new. They spent the Bia night in the shelter, not as hunter and prey, but as two beings discovering the beginnings of trust, connection, and possibly even love. Lyria curled beside him, close but careful, aware of boundaries she had never considered before. Alex felt the warmth and presence of her body, but more than that, he felt the acknowledgement of equality, of mutual respect. In that moment, Alex realized something profound. Survival was not the only measure of strength. Compassion, patience, understanding, these were human strengths, subtle yet powerful. They could influence even creatures whose instincts were older and stronger than human history itself. And somewhere deep within the glowing forest, Lyria felt the stirrings of a new understanding. She had been taught by instinct, but now she was learning from Alex, learning that choice, respect, and courage could create bonds that instincts alone could never form. For the first time, the mating season did not feel like a trap. It felt like an opportunity, not just for Lyria, but for both of them. Humanity, in its quiet, persistent way, had begun to leave a mark on her heart, and Alex, ever human, realized that the greatest discoveries in life were not planets, not technology, not survival, but connection. The forest of Veyara 7 had grown, quiet that evening, the usual hum of life muted as if the planet itself were holding its breath. Alex had just returned from collecting samples near the glowing river, unaware that Lyria's thoughts were heavy with conflict. The mating season reached its peak now, a time when every Veyaran was expected to follow instinct and tradition. Lyria approached him slowly, her movements more measured than usual. There was tension in her body, a restraint he had never seen before. Alex noticed the difference immediately. Her eyes no longer carried only curiosity and desire. Now, they reflected worry, doubt, and something deeper he could not yet name. You have been different from the others, she said softly, her voice quivering slightly. Every Veyaran I have known would have followed instinct completely. They would have claimed you, or rejected you. But you are human. You resist. Yet you choose to stay. Alex nodded, feeling the familiar surge of determination. Humans survive not just because we are strong. We survive because we decide how to act, even when instincts scream otherwise. I chose to be here, with you, because I wanted to, not because I was compelled. Her gaze lingered on him, and for a moment she looked as if she might fall into the very instincts she had fought for days. Then came the sound of the council, the call summoning her back to her people. Every Veyaran felt it, a demand older than memory, older than thought. She had to return. She had to participate in the ritual. Alex's chest tightened. You don't have to follow it blindly, he said firmly. I've seen what humans can do. We can face impossible odds and make our own choices. You are stronger than your instincts if you let yourself be. You can choose me. You can choose yourself. Lyria froze. No human had ever spoken to her this way. Her species relied on instinct, on ritual, on ancient commands. Choice was a concept almost foreign to them, yet here was Alex, a human, showing her something she had never experienced: respect for freedom, courage to defy expectation, and unwavering faith in her will. I cannot simply ignore my people, she whispered, her hands trembling. They expect me. I am bound to the ritual, to tradition. Alex stepped closer, careful not to push her, but close enough to meet her eyes fully. I am not asking you to betray them recklessly, he said. I am asking you to trust yourself. You've seen what you can resist. You've seen that instincts do not define you. You have a choice, and that is stronger than anything your species can demand. The silence stretched between them. Outside, the forest seemed alive with energy, responding to the tension in the air. The mating season pulsed through every tree, river, and stone, yet Lyria did not move. She looked at Alex as though seeing him for the first time, not as prey, not as curiosity, but as an equal. I never imagined this, she whispered finally. A human could teach me what choice really means. Her hand hovered near his, uncertain yet drawn to him. The instincts within her screamed for dominance, for ritual, for tradition. But now, something else fought against it. Something fragile, yet powerful. Alex reached out slowly and touched her hand gently, without force, without pressure. You are stronger than you know, he said, and you have always had the power to decide. Let your choice be yours, not instinct, not tradition, yours. For the first time in her life, Lyria felt clarity. The pull of her species' expectations still tugged at her, but it no longer controlled her. Alex's humanity, the courage, patience, and choice, had shown her a path she never thought possible. The forest held its breath as she made her decision, one that would not only define her but mark the beginning of a bond unlike any her people had ever seen. And in that moment, Alex realized the true power of humanity, not just to survive, but to inspire, to teach, and to change even the oldest instincts of an alien species. The night on Veyara 7 was alive with tension. The forest glowed faintly under the twin moons, every tree and leaf humming with the energy of the mating season. Alex stood quietly, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. He had faced countless dangers in his life, but this was different. This was a test not of skill or strength but of choice, courage, and the resilience of the human spirit. Lyria approached him, her movements slow, deliberate, as if every step was measured against her instincts and her newfound understanding. Her starlit eyes met his, and Alex saw the conflict still lingering there, the pull of tradition, the roar of instinct, but also something new. Recognition, respect, and a choice that had never existed in her world before. I have chosen, she whispered, her voice trembling but steady. I choose. Not because the season demands it, not because my people command it, but because I want to. Alex felt his chest tighten with relief and awe. Her words carried a weight far greater than any weapon or strategy. This choice was born of understanding, of courage, and of the influence of human determination. Humanity had survived wars, plagues, and impossible odds. But now, on a distant alien world, it had changed a being whose instincts had ruled for millennia. You chose me? Alex asked softly, unable to hide his wonder. Yes, Lyria replied, stepping closer. She did not touch him yet, but her presence filled his senses. You showed me strength beyond instinct. You showed me that choice, respect, and courage are more powerful than any natural impulse. The forest around them seemed to pause, as if acknowledging the moment. The glowing rivers dimmed slightly, the luminous spores settled, and even the distant calls of alien creatures softened. It was as if the entire planet recognized what had happened. A human had not only survived, but had inspired change. Alex reached for her hand gently, carefully, without coercion. Lyria did not pull away. Their fingers touched, and in that simple contact, a bridge formed between two species, two worlds, and two hearts. It was not just desire, it was trust, respect, and understanding forged through choice and courage. You've taught me something I could never have imagined, Lyria said, her voice soft but full of conviction. That even the oldest instincts can be tempered by wisdom. That even the strongest pull can be met with a willing heart. Alex smiled, feeling warmth spread through him. That's humanity, he said quietly. We survive because we make choices. We care, we fight, we love. Not because we must, but because we decide to. That is our strength. That is who we are. She looked at him then, fully, with eyes that reflected starlight, emotion, and a newfound freedom. And for the first time, Lyria felt the pull of the season not as a command but as an invitation she could accept or decline. She chose acceptance, not of instinct, but of a human bond that transcended alien tradition. The night grew deeper, but the forest no longer felt threatening. It was alive, yes, but alive with potential, with new beginnings. Alex and Lyria sat together, hands intertwined, sharing the quiet joy of connection. The mating season had tested them, threatened them, and pushed them to the edge of instinct, but in the end it had revealed something far greater: the power of humanity, the resilience of choice, and the strength of compassion. On Vayara 7, a human had not only survived an alien mating season, he had changed it. He had proven that courage, empathy, and self-determination were forces stronger than instinct, more enduring than tradition, and capable of leaving a mark across worlds. And as Lyria rested her head against his shoulder, Alex realized the truth he had always known. Humans were fragile in body, perhaps, but unbreakable in spirit. And that spirit could inspire even the most ancient of instincts to bend, to evolve, and to choose love. In the glowing forest under the watchful twin moons, humanity had triumphed, not with weapons, not with strategy, but with heart. And for Alex, that was more than enough.